In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how I made the poster for the new album by 30 Seconds to Mars as part of the 366 challenge. And I'm also going to be rushing through the video because it's incredibly hot here in Wellington and I don't want to end the video drenched in sweat. So basically, jumping into it, I'm now realizing, this is the first time I've opened this in a while, just how poorly I have organized my layers. I cannot stress this enough. Name your layers. Okay, I've actually just gone through and highlighted all the main layers so I know what to turn back on. But basically, I started out with this really simple layout of just the album title itself. And what I wanted to do with this was essentially, it's this thing that I've really grown attached to doing recently, which is just basically printing it out on a clear piece of paper and just kind of rescanning it back in and then like manually moving it on the scanner. I did this a few times. So as you can see here, I scanned in 3, all with different kind of, techniques of moving them around. I say techniques, it's really just me shifting it around on the scanner. It's nothing that special. I know you can use the liquify tool in Photoshop, but something about scanning it in and doing that kind of hands-on approach, I think just comes out a lot better. So then essentially this is what it ends up being like on the page. Hi, this is me editing the video days later. I kind of forgot to cover how I got it on the page as it is. Essentially, I just put a threshold over it, like just a basic threshold layer, and then kind of used a mask and edited out the side bits. So then it was just the text, and then I converted it into a smart object. So then I just had the text. Nice and simple. Anyways, back to the video. Kind of just put it on the side because what I wanted to do, originally I think I had it somewhere in the middle and then I was going to design around it. I kind of like the idea of having it on the side instead because I feel like I tend to stick to that kind of middle column a lot in my designs. And like, I think the 366 poster challenge, doing a poster every day, it's kind of like a way to experiment with other things as well. So yeah, I put it over there, and then as you can see, I started layering on these filters from the filter gallery. I think I started with a bit of Gaussian blur, and then I used the blur gallery to do kind of like pinpoint certain parts to make certain bits more blurry. So then when I'd like threshold it and do all that stuff later, it would kind of get the kind of like smudgy look. It's really cool. I think the reason why I added another Gaussian blur on top of that was to kind of add some more smudge and stuff. And because I'd already done the initial layer, I think that's why I did it. I don't know. It's a complete mess. I'm well aware. Normally, if I'm doing client work, it would be so much more systematic. I'd name my layers, but bestie, this is not client work. I'm not getting paid. I wish I was. And then the last one was a bit of noise to kind of add a bit more texture. Not like a lot of noise, but just enough to get back some of that kind of grit. I know it looks kind of awful now, but the idea was that once I added to it, it would kind of like even out a bit. And then I started adding some shadows just to kind of, again, blur it out a bit more, kind of add a bit more of that grungy aesthetic. Again, I was just experimenting with it. I didn't have like a clear image in mind. I knew I wanted that kind of thresholdy, smudgy, grungy look. And I was just fiddling around with things, just fiddling as you do in Photoshop sometimes. And here's where I started adding in some of the other scans, just to add like a bit off to the side, so it wasn't just that one. I think I also flipped one of these around as well, because I think out of the 3, I only bothered to do 2, because I couldn't be bothered doing the threshold and all of that. So I just did 2. Because look, besties, work smarter, not harder. So that was essentially that whole kind of warped text done as like the main subject, I guess. And then here's when I started playing around with what I wanted for color. I know I've been working with a lot of black and whites, but I wanted to do something a bit more like experimental, kind of like feeding into that grungy aesthetic. So I ended up coming up with the red and orange. Actually, I know I'm kind of going backwards, but I think that's why I added those drop shadows afterwards and everything. Like I kind of put the color on top first to gauge what that looked like, and then I kind of built off of that as well. So you can see here, for example, that's what it looks like without the drop shadows. So yes, that explains why I added that. Again, I know I'm going backwards. So then once I had that down, I started adding in, these like other assets and the text. I wanted to put the band name there, but obviously 30 Seconds to Mars was more like lengthwise, like the text goes that way a bit more. So I end up kind of staggering it in 3. The reason being, I don't know, I wanted to. I thought it looked cool. I don't know, just kind of, you know, just trying out some different things. And I did a bit of displacement, like a little bit, a subtle bit. I think I used Design Syndrome's displacement map that is free, I believe. I think I'd also added a bit of glow, I think because it's smart object. Yeah, here we go. I think I added some drop shadows. I know I probably could have done outer glows. So I did a couple of that so that it would be kind of like bright, kind of to match this kind of vibe, I guess. And from there, it was pretty much just adding a bunch of textures because what else do you do to a design before it's finished? No, in all seriousness, I really wanted to go for that grungy look, and it kind of worked with that, you know, gradient map effect here anyways. I think all the textures that I used were from Pretty Cool Strangers texture pack. Honestly, easily like the best texture pack I've ever seen. So basically added a bunch of these, you know, lowering the, I don't know what you call it, lowering this thing. Hi, me again. I did a terrible job at explaining it, mainly because I don't know how that feature works in the blending mode thing. All I know is that if you hold Alt on a Mac, I assume it's the same on a Windows, you hold Alt on that leftmost one and lower it, just one of them, you kind of, again, I don't know how to explain it, but basically I know that it makes it look nicer and more realistic with textures. Play around with it a bit if you want, but I think even just using like the lighten or screen blending modes, I used screen the most. I think that works best with most of these paper textures anyway. I just used that blending thingy, whatever it's called, to kind of make it look a bit better, but just fiddle around with it if you will. All right. See, I don't know what I'm talking about. Just get back to the video. And then I feel like I thought I was pretty close to it, but it still looked a bit plain. Like I know I had this there that I was really happy with. I had the text that I was happy with, but I still wanted it to give that really like alternative grungy vibe. I keep saying grunge. I don't know what other words to use, but I just really wanted that kind of aesthetic. So then I started with this kind of gradient fill here, kind of to make it, again, going back to that scanner of like warping it. I kind of wanted it to look like it. I know I said at the start that I didn't really want that kind of texture, but I thought I would kind of bring it in a different way. So I kind of added that in, which worked really well with the gradient map again. But it still wasn't quite where I wanted it. And then the last thing I added was going to the album cover, or the album covers, I guess. Let's not get into that topic. So I ended up adding in these pictures of clouds. Actually, I think it's the same image, but I duplicated it and then kind of cut it off here. You can probably see, I think without this, that it's a little bit scuffed. But I was like, I don't care. Like the whole thing is, you know, that scanned, warped vibe. No one cares. You know, at the end of the day, no one cares. No one cares. So I think that was pretty much where I left it. Like I think that was it, honestly. And then I exported it and then I was done. I was really happy with it. Like it was a lot different to some of the other posters that I've been making for the 366 poster challenge. I know I keep saying that. All the more reason to go to my Instagram and see what the heck I'm talking about. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my first time delving into the kind of design YouTube space. I know I watch a lot of design videos, but I thought with there not really being much of like a design community in New Zealand on YouTube anyway, like the closest I can think of is Elliot the Cool Guy. I absolutely love him, but he's in Australia. We're not the same, so maybe I can become New Zealand's Elliot is a Cool Guy. I don't know. No, I don't know. Maybe that's my 2024 New Year's resolution, or more of a career goal, I guess. I don't think I could get it done in a year. I mean, bold of me to assume I could get it done full stop, but anyways, like the video if you want. I don't know, it feels weird saying that. Also feels weird addressing feeling weird while saying it, because I feel like everyone resorts to saying that to get away with asking people to like the video. Actually, don't like the video. Give it a thumbs down. Tell me in the comments that it was terrible and block me. Can you block people on YouTube? I don't know. Just comment how terrible the video was. Thanks. I am sweating so much that my glasses just keep sliding right off my face. Not ideal.